hit the button.
There you go.
Welcome.
Vanessa, want to give the introduction now?
Oh, okay. I can do this. Yeah.
Thank you. We all went quiet. That's unlike us.
Yes.
Let's get into it. So,
It's-
Vanessa,
we're
should
being
I just
recorded, so anyway.
Just go for it.
should I just
Sure,
get
go
into
for
it,
it.
Vanessa?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. And we have Sonal Bahl as a career strategist, podcaster, and founder of Supercharge, a career advisory firm with clients in Europe, Middle East, Africa, North America, and Asia. A former HR director, she has served over 2 decades in HR leadership roles in leading firms like GE, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and others on 3 continents. She is multilingual and has a great sense of humor. Please help me welcome Sonal.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Delighted to be here. And my sincere apologies to anyone who had to listen to that twice. Oh my God.
That's good for us with short-term memory.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here. I'll talk a little bit about myself later, but that's really not our point. Our point here is to talk about this term, which has been around for 5 to 10 years now. It's become very heated up in the last, I would say, 3 years, particularly in the post-COVID environment, which is personal branding. It's almost a cringe term when you hear, like, oh my God, not that again. And today what I want to do is make it a bit uncringe, understand where the cringe is coming from, and talk a little bit about what this means, because it means different things to different people. And I'll be sharing some of my learnings in these years, because I'm in this I come from a human resources background. Like Vanessa said, I worked in India, South America, Europe. As you can see from my face and from my accent, I'm originally Indian, and have had the privilege to live around the world. I never knew I had a personal brand. I'm like, nobody thinks like that, particularly 20, 30 years ago. You don't know what, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, this is going to help my personal brand. Let's do it. Today's Friday. Let's work on my personal brand. It's a very I would say it's more of an outcome as opposed to a effort. But my idea today is to sort of bring a little bit more awareness in terms of what we do and don't do that contributes to us having or not having a strong personal brand. Because at the end of the day, we don't just want a nice, strong personal brand or a reputation, but we want it to have a meaning and meet our objectives. And I'm going to talk about that. So before I get started, I do want to say that I come from corporate. I do not come from marketing. Branding, never studied it in my life. So this knowledge that you're going to be getting from me today, you might already have it. It's street knowledge. It's coming from experiments, tried and tested on myself. Yes, also on my clients. We test things together. We run experiments together. I know it sounds like I'm treating them like guinea pigs, but sometimes, you see what works and you do more of that. And you see some things fall flat and you're like, oh, cool. Let me see what I can learn from it. Some people call it failure. I call it forward, forward, forward. Every time we're moving forward. So that is essentially what we're going to do today. So I'm going to quickly share my screen. Before I do that, I'm going to close some other windows so you don't have to see something embarrassing. Give me a second. All right. Okay. That was the last slide, which I didn't want you to see. Let's talk about our personal brand. So I'm going to share my screen. At any point of time, if something isn't clear, you're going to see I tend to talk quite a lot. So I do also like to pause. I like to take breaks. But at any point of time, if you have a question, just use because if I don't hear you, when we talk over each other on Zoom, not only does it sound awful, but it also doesn't help because nobody heard the other 2 people. Nobody heard what happened. So just feel free to raise your hand. Do you have that reaction button where you can raise your hand? Yeah, please feel free to do that. The moment a thought occurs to you, if I'm in the middle of a sentence, I'll finish my sentence, but I will definitely come to your question. I prefer that we do it this way, as opposed to sort of 20 minutes later, the train has left the station. And then it's like, it's not the same, right? The impact is not the same because you also want your question to land somewhere. Any questions before we get started?
No.
No? All right, fantastic. Are you excited on a scale of 1 to 5?
Very.
Yeah, 1 being
Very.
I'm ready to like go to sleep, and 5 being like edge of my seat.
5.
Okay, edge of my seat
I'm
is a bit.
excited and have caffeine, so I'm ready.
Oh,
You're
said
fully
that?
charged.
who said that? Was that Greg?
No, it's Sigmund.
Sigmund, you are on fire, man. Amazing. I love it. I love it. Let's go. Let's get into it. Okay. So a small little coincidence before we get started, but I love it. Personal brand. Personal brand actually has my name in it. How cool is that? Okay. What are we going to be doing today? What is our objective? At the end of this session, I want you to walk away with tips and strategies on how to build your personal brand immediately. Immediately, not I'll think about it next week, next year, next month, immediately. Why are we going to do that? So that you can meet your career objectives faster. Whatever your objectives are, there is no right or wrong objective. It is where you are in your season of life. It could be more money, it could be more prestige, it could be more position, it could be responsibilities, it could be laid back, work from home. I'm done. Been there, done that, want to do something else. Whatever it is, the idea is that this personal brand that we're going to talk about today is going to help you to get there faster. Now, keep this in mind. One little caveat. Not caveat really, but it's a little like housekeeping. I'm sure you guys have, seen this in all other presentations as well. The biggest gift you can give anytime you're in a meeting, whether it's face-to-face, but especially on Zoom, because not everybody is visible and we cannot see and hear you. We don't see your body language. Not just with me, but also with each other, right? The biggest gift you can give to me and to you is what? What do you think it is? What do you think I'm going to say?
Focus.
Whatever. Say again. Focus.
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 Pay attention.
Attention. Beautiful. Attention. Attention is the biggest thing you're for. Oh, it's written here. Good Lord. Why was I asking? What a dumbass. Okay, anyway. The other thing I want to say is different people have different styles. Now, because these styles are separated, focus on your own experience. Today, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is essentially your own. I love this quote by Bruce Lee. There's things that I'm going to share today that will go over your head. They might make you roll your eyes. They might make you curious. They might make you lean in a little and pay closer attention. Whatever it is, essentially, no one is you. And that is your personal brand. But what is you? We're going to find that out today. We're going to talk about that today. But not trying somebody's style and making it doesn't work that way. And somebody says, I tried this tip. I'm on YouTube. I'm quite active there. I've got 140,000 subscribers. I get my share of mean comments. One of the comments I've seen, not very often, it's a bit rare, but I do see them. I tried this and it didn't work because essentially one's own ingredient was missing. How you do something. Because a coach can say, or a mentor can say, this is what worked for me. Yeah, but they're on a different journey, right? Different time, different country, different culture, different context. So many things matter.
After the tone, when you are finished, you may hang up or press 1 for special options.
All right. So what we're going to do today are we're going to briefly talk about what is and isn't a personal brand. Is there a cost to not thinking about it? Some tried and tested tips that in my experience have worked over and over. We're going to summarize all of this together so it makes sense, and we're going to have a conclusion. So a little bit about me. You guys have already heard the bio. I'm not going to make you go through it. It's excruciating, but a couple of things I wanted you to listen is like I mentioned, I've worked in different parts of the world. I had the honor of doing an MBA from a top 2 global program. And I graduated in the year 2009, which a lot of you will remember right here as a crappy year to graduate from an expensive MBA program with everything shutting down and banks and everybody copying each other. And it was a big deal to graduate and get even one offer. Now, I graduated and I got 5 offers. And I'm not saying this to show off and say that I'm better than others, because I wasn't. As a matter of fact, I struggled academically a lot. And I think one of the reasons was I went there immediately after having a newborn baby. And I just thought everyone's better than me. What am I doing here? What a waste of time. I think these guys made a mistake. They shouldn't have admitted me. So my confidence went inside, and I went inside my shell for quite a long time. So things that I'm sharing today are mistakes that I wish I had done differently. But you know what? That's okay. They bring me to where I am today. But a person like me, if I could get 5 offers and just focus on that, because I wanted to graduate and I wanted to start earning some serious money, because that MBA had sucked my husband and me dry completely. And coming from India and South America, comparing pesos and rupees to euros, no comparison. Right? So I just want you to know that it's not fluff. I don't like fluff. I can't stand fluff. And yeah, if we have any Spanish speakers, French speakers, nice to meet you. We can chat later. And you already heard about Supercharge. I decided a few years ago to start out on my own, and I help people who are going through a career transition. I'm a job search and career coach. And basically what I do is help people to reach their goals faster with courses. I have digital courses. I have one-on-one coaching and content. So the content is essentially 3. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so please connect with me. I have a YouTube channel, like I mentioned already, which is all about careers, and I share all my favorite things I want to share there. And it's particularly for people who don't have access to coaching and who don't have access to courses. Buying something for 240 euros, a lot of us don't think about it. You just buy it like that. It's a course. I think it'll help me. But in many parts of the world, that's a princely amount of money. So the idea is take everything on YouTube and make sure it reaches wherever it's needed. The podcast is my pet project. I love it. Anyone like podcasts here? Anyone listen to podcasts? Raise their hands. I can see you guys. Yeah. If you like podcasts, you might like mine. It's called How I Got Hired. And I interview a person every single week. And we talk about, how did you get this job? Then how did you get this job? I like going below the surface. And I don't want to hear about how awesome your mindset is. Do not use that word with me. It's more about all the tips and tricks and strategies they used that changed the trajectory of their career. Great fun, amazing people from around the world. So that's a little bit about me. Now, we are going to talk about first, when it comes to our personal brand. It helps a lot when you have opinions that are a little bit spiky, that a lot of people like to hear, but a few people don't, because it means they are original thoughts. So a magnetic brand message, what that is essentially a bit polarizing, and meaning some people will say, oh yeah, oh, I totally get that, right? And some won't. The ones that won't are not your problem. The reason is they will almost never buy from you or hire you or be in the same room with you. It's okay. But the magnet side of it is very attractive. So see a lot of people that you are following, for example, online. Chances are they do have a bit of magnetic brand message. This takes practice and peeling of the onion to quite an extent, because you don't just get this in one shot. Sometimes you need to talk to someone, or you need to maintain a diary where you're documenting things and you're doing it on a regular basis, and you realize this is my magnetic brand message. I'll give you an example because I know it sounds a bit theoretical, and my idea today is not to be theoretical at all, because remember I said I'm not coming from marketing or branding as a profession. So I'm going to share what that magnetic brand message is for me, share a little bit of the definition, then I'll stop talking because I want to see what you guys think. All right. So this is mine, and I want you to just sort of take it and massage it a bit and think about what this would be for you. So for me, my career boosting, right, because my firm's called Supercharge, career boosting strategies will give you the competitive edge to land your dream job. Yes, it exists. Get promoted and lead a richer, happier, more purposeful life. I write about the dream job a lot on LinkedIn. I talk about it. I have seen a lot of career coaches. So in my space, a lot of people can't stand the word dream job. They're like, yeah, it doesn't exist. You know what? I think it does. I think it does. I think every single one of us has been in a job where we looked forward to Monday morning. We looked forward to being at work. Amazing. You loved those colleagues. you loved the work you did, you saw it had impact, and you made very comfortable, steady income from it. You could take care of yourself, your family, go on holiday, put away some more in savings. That is a dream job. And also, every now and then, it would stretch you to do things you weren't comfortable with. I think that exists. I have had jobs where I looked forward to Monday morning. And I've also had jobs where Sunday something else happened, like the stomach would stomach would go for a toss. I used to call it my TSF. That was the opposite of a dream job, where the idea of Monday just makes you so jittery that, stomach goes out. So the point is, what is that magnetic brand message going to look like for you? It's something for you to think about. I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute, but I'd like to hear a little bit about the professions. So, I didn't realize, except Dory, we're all dudes. Dory, let's start with you, Dory. What do you do? And I want to see how we can, I'm calling you, I'm cold, just picking your name. If you don't feel comfortable, don't worry. But this is a safe space, I think, right? So the idea is, if you feel okay with this, what do you do? And how can we talk about what is your brand message and make it magnetic?
Okay. I optimize and modernize IT PMOs as a leader.
Yes.
One of my strong skills is as a complexity wrangler. And I envision an IT project delivery that brings value to business, the stakeholders and the business stakeholders.
I love that. And what does value look like?
That's an interesting one. Value is in terms of the stakeholder language, benefits, what it means to them, and to how it impacts their interaction with the company.
So you do something and it provides a benefit to someone.
Yes.
What you do and how does it provide benefit? How does it create impact? Those are the two essential aspects. Dory just laid them out beautifully in a magnetic brand message. One thing to keep in mind is, what we want to do is, when we think about our magnetic brand message, right? Once you have it, once it's ready, you can use it over and over. You can use it in your about section on LinkedIn. You can also use it if it's practical enough. You can also talk about it when people say, so, you're in a party. So, hey, Sid, nice to meet you. So Sid, what do you do? Oh, you can do I'm a banker, full stop. That means you don't want to talk to the other person. Very short monosyllable answers. Or it could be the MBM, the magnetic brand message, right? It could be like, I'm actually project management person. I help PMOs, full stop. When you do that, the other person's like, okay, that's it. That's the end of the story. But when you say, I do this, and then, this helps so-and-so, the other person's listening. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more, right? And when we have a strong magnetic brand message, we can also use it at the start of, tell me about yourself. Because this is an interview question that is eons old. It's not going to go away anytime soon. It's an annoying question. Yes, I know it's not very original, but it is a blank canvas. And many people feel comfortable asking because everyone's answers are different. Their answer is different. And what they focus on in the answer tells the interviewer a lot about that person. So there are multiple uses of magnetic brand message. Oh, I do this. And this is basically the impact. So in Dory's case, right? So if I want to what I can do is, if I'm Dory, keep it simple, easy English. And when you talk about the value, it doesn't sound salesy. It just sounds normal, matter of fact. You're not praising yourself. You're not boasting. You're not showing off. And we can keep that language simple. And essentially, I'm simplifying now, but essentially, most jobs that exist, particularly in the for-profit sector, right? Most jobs exist to do what? They usually exist for 4 things: to help the company, to help the organization, to make more money. Number one. Number two, save more money. 3, save time. And 4, build and increase reputation, brand, company brand, reputation, right? Essentially, these are the 4. Of course, there are many that correspond to one or the other, but think essentially help the company to make more money. Okay, business development, sales, right? Save money. Okay, think finance, compliance. Save time. Think process improvement, continuous improvement, those type of project management, same, right? And branding, messaging, all that, reputation, chief communications officer, so people in the communications department, etc. So it's like, I do this and it helps the company to do this. This is essentially the thing I love to do. You've just given a brand new, beautiful opening. The other person is interested, sit down, you see the body language opening up. People want to chat more, whether it's in a networking event, whether it's after tell me about yourself, whether whatever, you know what I mean? So is this interesting? Are you guys like enjoying this? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts when it comes?
For me, sometimes the branding statement, you have to be, I feel it's a marketing statement, right? Of course, but
of course,
you have to be careful to, interest is as important as conciseness and accuracy. So,
100%.
I used to have a longer, somewhat more boring one. And then I started just trying to see if people were listening and shake it up a little. So, sometimes.
Can you share, Sigmund? Can you share there for which one was more bland and how did you spice it up?
The one that I would go to, for example, a friend of mine who's a COO, and she would say, I bring calm out of chaos. And that's great for her position. And I really loved it as a branding statement, but it was a trigger for me because I as a CTO and an innovator, I bring chaos out of calm. If things are too calm, then you're not inventing, you're not creating new. And so I will use that sometimes because it's a little startling. It's not the, hi, I make money for the company kind of answer. It's I throw so much stuff against the wall that, that type of thing. So I tended to go to try to get more, in other words, trying to get them to ask a question.
I love that. I love that.
Slight effect.
I love that. I'm just going to read out something. I found it very interesting. Last week, I was at a Flanders Expo. It's a big thing here in the Flemish part of Belgium, for the PhDs and postdocs, right? And they were being paired up with companies, banks. A lot of them had come on, and I was a keynote speaker there. I met a very interesting guy who's at one of the top banks in Belgium. His LinkedIn headline says, making impossible things possible. And I was like, I wanted to talk to him about that because it was like, okay, what does that mean, right? And he said what impossible was in banking, and getting younger folks interested and come and work and create a employer value proposition, etc. So what I would recommend is when you think about your magnetic brand message, it's gonna go through so many iterations. It's perfectly normal. It gets ugly before it gets pretty. That's okay. 2 things that will help you is clarity over cute. Cute, verbally interesting, sure. Just make sure it doesn't get lost in translation. And by the way, I see people of different ethnicities here. So that's really amazing. I can see so many languages we probably speak in this very room alone. So language in the traditional sense is already there in question. And then the language of, it's even if the other person's speaking English, right? It's not about that traditional English. It's about getting lost in translation. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't get what you said. And in the world we live in today, we are distracted. We are distracted a lot. So clarity over cute and brevity over creativity. Clear and brief are your friends. Just like on a resume, white space is also your friend. You don't have to pack it in such a way that the person's eyes who's reading it, right? The person's eyes start hurting.
Oh, yes.
Or they need glasses. Have you guys seen those resumes? I've seen
so many were run on.
Oh my God. And someone has told them it's only supposed to be 2 pages. Oh Christ, help that person, because 2 pages is actually You could stretch it. So the same thing, clarity is your friend and brevity is your friend. So I'm going to see if I say that correctly. Diverge, is that French? If it's French, hopefully I said that right. I can see D, but that's your Americanized name.
Yeah. It's diverges and it is French.
Diverge, not diverge.
Yeah, that's the way you would say it in Paris.
Diverge, je parle français. Donc I will say it the way you say it. How can I help you?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I find really interesting is we've now, absorbed the digital world and digital communication and things of that nature. The greatest speech I have ever heard, and I heard it live, was the late Sidney Poitier getting an award at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And it just overwhelmed me to the point that, this was a big room. I couldn't walk down and shake his hand. I was just overwhelmed with.
Were you there? Is that what you're saying?
I was there live for it. Yeah, it was just incredible. The speech that I play back at least 4 or 5 times a year is when he won his second honorary Oscar. And he just has had a roadmap that was so brilliantly conceived. Now, it was about a 20-minute speech, so there was a lot of bandwidth there and whatnot. But I'm just wondering how you capture that type of unbelievable excitement in a just a few 30-second or 67.
Yeah, okay. No, that's really good. Beautiful question. I have to say I've never been asked that before. What I will say is hold your horses. We will talk a little bit about aspects of personal branding that I think will answer your question. However, your question is multifaceted, right? Because we're also talking about, there's also public speaking in there, communication skills in there. So it's, charisma as well. Sidney Poitier was known for that. But nevertheless, there will be aspects from today's presentation that I think that will answer in your question directly more than indirectly. Sound good?
That's great. I'm in the same problem as Giuseppe, so I have to leave in about 45 minutes or so.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that.
But that shouldn't stop you from doing what you're doing.
No, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. Don't worry. Dory, did you have a question?
I just wanted to comment that I really resonate with what you said as far as polarizing. I love that. I'm going to think about that some more. I did attend a networking and I said something like akin to your dream job. Something about my vision for a PMO. Yes. And a guy that I was chatting with had just this derogatory statement, was like, oh, well, having a vision doesn't make you that, and I love, and so now I'm like in appreciation of that, because he clarified that he's somebody I wouldn't want to work with.
No, I think
that's his problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at that moment, we don't think that. At that moment, it hurts, okay? So let's just feel our feelings. But I also want to say that when we get that from people, when we see, troll and hate is a big word. But when we see people who disagree, first of all, there's a way to disagree. There's a pleasant way, there's an unpleasant way. I think that art is dying. Unfortunately, most people are triggered very easily. But when people disagree a lot, I think there are some fantastic opportunities there, because it helps you to chip away further at the thing you like. Because now when you are under attack, you need to see why you like it. And when you dig that deeper and you chip away, you're going to see this beautiful statue that's going to come out, and you have to rub away the excess dust. So the excess dust that's coming is very helpful, actually. So I love that. Yeah, I love that. And I also want to say one more thing. When we say magnetic and polarizing, and there's magnet, right? So charging, attraction, and repel. I don't mean do it for the sake of it, because some people I've noticed, and maybe you have as well, they want to just throw in a couple of fireworks and see what happens. And then they go back and then they want to get their popcorn and enjoy themselves. I am not talking about that. Okay. And those are typically, what is the word? I keep forgetting the word. They want to, it'll come to me. It's really annoying when a word just disappears out of my brain.
Instigators.
Instigate. They get very,
Provocative.
Provocative. Thank you. They
Sure.
provoke.
Hmm.
They provoke for the sake of it. And more than provoke, they poke. So you gotta kind of, separate the fat, the wheat from the chaff, right? And then see what that magnetic brand message is for you. Remember, I said it's a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes time, and you practice that, and you see this statement speaks to me. And when you get there, it is the closest thing to getting like the Oscars, that feeling that Diverge is talking about, because it's like, wow, I finally made it there. Because it's a journey to yourself. So I'm going to keep going. I see that we have somebody new here. Abhijit, hi. Nice to see you. All right. We're going to move on after magnetic brand message. The other thing I wanted to talk about, not the other thing, the main thing. What is a personal brand? Like, what is a personal brand that you have heard so much about, and how can you get one? Let's talk about that, right? And this one is, I think, Diverge. This is interesting. I think you're going to enjoy this. So there's so many ways to describe it. You're going to see so many definitions online when you write personal brand. What is a personal brand? There's different ways, right? I want to share a couple of ways and see what stays with you and see what resonates with you. The first one, there's a writer by the name of David Breyer, and he calls it the art of differentiation. There's so many people who are PMO experts, right? Dora, did I get your name right? Dory, sorry. There's so many people who are, give me another profession here. Sid, what do you do?
I'm a LinkedIn specialist. I help people with their profiles.
LinkedIn profile specialist, LinkedIn trainer. There are a lot of LinkedIn trainers. Greg, what do you do?
I'm an executive coach, and I help people play their career above the rim.
Ooh, somebody has their MBM all set up. Well done. Talk about on the ball on Friday morning. So let me see. Just a couple more ideas of, I want to talk to people who will be here till the end. Rich, you're going to be here till the end? No, very bad. Cyrus, are you going to be here till the end? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you do, Cyrus?
IT technical support professional focusing on network operating system and database administration.
Give me the job title.
Job title, network system database admin.
DBA, database administrator?
It's a combination of database
okay.
Operating system and network.
Okay. I love that. So network database systems administrator, executive coach, PMO professional, LinkedIn trainer. There's so many out there. What makes you different? What is the way you do things? How is that different? It is the art of differentiation. And I have some tiny little numbers, if you can see in brackets, right? The first number is half. And these are numbers I wrote back in the year 2020. I think that the numbers are higher now. But can you guess what the number half is? You don't have to
I'm
wait.
thinking, let the other person talk half the time.
No, don't be so polite. You guys are too sweet, like Midwestern types. Just please, get the inner New Yorker out. Come on, what is half? Hopefully that wasn't offensive. I'm sorry. I was just having some fun.
We get it.
What is half?
I was thinking maybe half of the people in a career search are not differentiated, but that seems high. I think it's lower.
No, you're kind of close. Well, not really. So half of people, that's where I thought you were going. Half, this was in the year 2020. Half the world is online.
It's online, okay.
It's online. And this is 2020, so peak pandemic, the start of the pandemic. There was nothing else to do. So half the people, I'm sure the number is higher now. 6 hours, 43 minutes. What do you think that is?
Is that the number amount of content uploaded every minute?
6 hours, 43, not
maybe
quite.
the average amount of time spent online every day.
Yes, every day. Every day. So what we're talking about today is your personal brand in the digital world, because essentially it is your digital reputation. It is your digital reputation. And of course, it is in the physical world as well, of course. But just one thing I want to say quickly on the side remark is this is nothing new. Personal brand has been longer than you and I have been alive, and our parents and grandparents have been alive. Personal branding goes back to kings and queens. Why Napoleon? Why not that dude, right? Why this one? Why did they choose this one? Yeah, there's also luck and weird stuff, but certain people had certain reputation. And because they had a reputation, they were actually considered better, different, differentiated than others. So we're calling it personal brand today, but it's nothing new. In the digital world, it's just kind of lay of the land. I think it's worth knowing. More than half the people in the world are online. And about 7 hours every day. Yes, I know it sounds like a lot, but when you even look at your own habits and you track them, a little check here, let me just see 2 minutes here, it adds up. You can see your screen time if you have your iPhone or any other phone, right? So essentially, this is what we've got around. This is what we're, sort of dealing with. So, yeah, I mean, please keep that in mind, that this is what's happening around you anyway. What is another way of describing your personal brand? It is your reputation. It is what people say or think about you when you are not there. Now here, I have a little exercise for you, just like when we talked about MBM, and I'm mindful of the fact that some people have to leave. Please feel free to leave, don't worry. But the ones who stay, I'll make sure I make it worth your while. And by the way, I don't think we need a full 2 hours. Now, when it comes to what people say and think about you when you are not there, it's out of your control. You have no control. Agree or disagree?
Agree. Totally agree.
Totally agree. Yet,
you can influence that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can not, I don't like the word control because we don't have control.
No.
You can influence the narrative.
Mhm.
You can influence the narrative. One of the easiest ways to get started, right? And Divarsh, I'm looking at you. Divarsh, I'm looking at you. Look at your friends, colleagues over the last many years. Okay. Select about 25 of them. Okay. And when I say select, have a bit of mix, because our biases will tend to, our ego will tend to stay with those folks who have nice things to say about us. Make it a mix. But the main thing, the thing they need to have in common is you respect them. You have worked with them, you respect them. You respect the way they showed up in the world. They helped you, they supported you. You may not be best buddies. That's okay. Right. And this can also include, sometimes you have family and then you have extended family, like brother-in-law's friend, sister-in-law in our circle. So about 25, I highly recommend don't go over. It gets hectic because ultimately you are doing data collection. We don't have Cyrus doing database administration for that. We're doing that ourselves. So we keep it simple, right? Simple Excel spreadsheet. Ask them to describe you in 3 words. These 3 words can be adjectives or they can be a noun. Doesn't matter, but I would at least like 1 adjective, maybe 2 adjectives, right? And a noun meaning anytime they think of you, anytime they hear your name come up in a room and you're not there, or just over the years, the relationship they've developed with you, and they had to describe it, and you have to be strict, really strict, that it has to be 3 words. You are someone who's very na 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 la 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 la. I'm not listening. You're like, oh, 3 words. Get those 3 words together. Follow up. You're not going to get everybody replying. You have to follow up or chase their ass a bit. Get those 3 words together. Go to a word cloud. Make a simple, a simple word cloud, right? Put those words that they have said about you. Put them all down in a word. You'll see some words are coming more frequently than others. That will be a larger word. It'll appear bigger. That is a great place to start. Because now you know what you're dealing with. Now you know what you're working with. You may like some of it, you may not like some of it. However, tap into the inner intelligence, because there is an ego which will want to keep us safe and we will want to disregard anything that we don't like. But those are their perceptions. So your personal brand over the years has given them that perception, right? Use that, and doesn't mean you have to pay attention to everything, but think that you don't like, just be careful that you're not letting it trigger you. And do what you can to your advantage. Honestly, some things are not worth the attention. Okay. And maybe it also means in the future you can choose, maybe you can choose better, because these people need to know you pretty well, right? So take those 3 words, and that gives you an idea of where you are. And when you talk about yourself, any touch point, any contact that people have with you, whether it's on a LinkedIn post, whether it's on Zoom, so digitally, it could be on Facebook, it could be at the supermarket, it could be in an office environment, whatever it is, you're like, yeah, yes, I'm exhibiting those 2-3 things. It's coming out, and it's coming out very naturally. You don't have to try that hard. There is a sense of flow. So again, I'll give you an example to sort of set the ball rolling, right? I did this exercise in 2019, 2020, and 3 words kept coming up again and again. So I put them, I like acronyms, so I put them together in an acronym KAP. The first one was kind. I like that because I pride myself on kindness, because I have seen not kind people and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I know what I don't want. Kind. A was authentic. I know that's a word that's really, really overused now, but the way I am right now is exactly the way I will be when the camera's off and you see me in person. Not like suddenly I'm so sweet, so nice, and then I'm gonna go and kick a dog on the street. No, right? So that's authentic. P is practical. This word follows me everywhere I go. If I work with someone, if I share advice, if I'm on LinkedIn, if I'm on YouTube, I'm allergic to fluff. And I think a lot of you are too. And I like practical. I like step by step. I like tactical. Strategy is good, but not all the time. What is your cap? KAP. This is my cap. What is your cap? Start thinking about it, but don't be tempted to fill this out. Ask others. It'll give you a validation of what you might already be believing about yourself. And this is a great place to start when it comes to your personal brand. Good? Interesting?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
Questions, thoughts, reactions, disagreements?
I like the 3 words idea. I mean, we need to, I think the most important takeaway for me is your brand has to have a focus. And I think those 3 words really help you get to that. We've all networked with people who just wander audibly, and that's, that could be that doesn't get your point across. So
it doesn't get your point across. And the other thing is, I think that's really important. And by the way, I have to be careful of it as myself, because I don't think anyone is perfect, because remember I said it's a journey. And I think Greg will agree with me that no coach has their ish together. Every coach has to work on themselves. As
Sure.
coaches, we have coaches ourselves, right? Because somebody has to keep us in check. What's the person who looks like they have their stuff together and is preaching down on everyone? Watch out, keep your money, stay away. So how this translates into the touch points, that awareness is humbling when you figure that out, and you're like, am I like, that comment was so mean, but Sonal, are you really kind, or are you going to leave a salty comment right now? We know you're like, that guy put the salt in the wound. Like, yeah, okay, that doesn't align with my cap. Take a step back. So that touch point is not easy, because every single time it's like someone tapping. You're like, really? Sid, you could do better. Yeah, you're right. So this is, as far as, I'm going to share my favorite definition now, as far as personal branding is concerned. So it's your digital reputation. It's the art of differentiation. It's what people say or think about you when you're not there. Think about what is your cap. This is your homework that you have to work on. Another one, which I love, is top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness, right? So Greg is, you're a certain type of executive coach. You help people in a certain way. And whenever people think of a certain thing. Maybe your adjective comes up as potential because you, for example, or, let's say someone talks a lot about storytelling. Have you noticed? Like they can talk about that till death. Like they can talk about it till the cows come home. There is one topic that keeps coming up. What is that topic? So remember I said it could be an adjective. It could also be a noun. So top of mind awareness. Anytime I think of storytelling, I think of this guy. Anytime I think of an executive coach for C-level and above, I think of Greg. What is that top of mind awareness? That is helpful when you know I'm known for that thing, right? So I'm going to move on, but feel free at any point of time, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions. Now, what is not your personal brand? This is also important. Your picture on LinkedIn or any social media. If you have if you're self-employed, your company, your logo or your company's logo, that's not really your personal brand. A tagline, your company's brand, much more than this. This is my favorite definition by a guy called Rory Vaden, and he's written a book called Take the Stairs. This is my favorite definition. A personal brand is a relationship with you, an individual who exists separately from your company. The process of personal branding involves finding your uniqueness, building a reputation on the things you want to be known for, and then allowing yourself to be known for them. Isn't that beautiful? You want to be known for that thing. And then you want to just let it all in, allow it. And we got to destroy it because our walls we build over time, they keep us safe, but this is uncomfortable. I don't know what will people think. All of that is coming from years and years of conditioning. So we need to destroy this, and then we allow ourselves to be known for them, right? And when we do that, Dory, some people will like it, some people will not like it. That is fine. You are not Nutella. You're not supposed to be liked by everyone. Right?
I love this. I have spent a lot of my time here. People have heard me say before that I believe that when you're networking, you get to define who you are as long as you can back it up with the information you impart, as opposed to you are your resume. And that's exactly what this says. You are not what you've done. Tell me who you are.
Yeah.
And I'll believe you, right? We're all here ready to believe you that, that's who you are. So I love
100%, 100%. And it is such a beautiful blank canvas, but it's up to us how we use, what do we paint with? How do we use that? The other thing as well, which I think is very interesting, maybe you've done it recently. When was the last time you Googled yourself? Tell me.
Once a week.
Once a week. And I'm talking incognito.
6 hours a day. No, I'm just kidding. 6 hours, 43 minutes a day.
A couple
All right,
months
Stephanie,
ago.
see you later. No, but it's like incognito, right? So not if you've done it before, those cache images keep coming, but incognito, just do it once a while, do it once a month, do it once a year. I don't care, as long as you do it. The most of the time, the searches that will come up on top. Firstly, if you have a name like John Smith, I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry. I don't know what your parents were thinking.
Greg
You
Johnson.
are so... Really? Is it that bad?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's at least 100,000 of us on LinkedIn.
Not even Gregory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg Johnson is an extremely common name.
Amazing.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Even when I was living in Japan, there were 3 Greg Johnsons living in Japan.
Oh, shucks.
I love it. Oh yeah.
And you were looking at your parents. You were looking at your parents, and you were like, "Arigato, arigato." No, I think that, for example, if you were to write Greg Johnson, executive coach,
Right.
or Vanessa Vollmer, a little less, little less common, right? So Cyrus as well. Just see what is coming up. Obviously, it has to be you. Most of the time, the search results on top will be either your LinkedIn or your Instagram, because those companies have extremely high SEO. There, you have control to some extent. So if you have any embarrassing pictures from the past, you got to get them out. I don't know how. I worked with a client once who had been sued, And it was a very simple, stupid civilian thing which had happened, but those records were permanent. And he had to find a way to remove them because they have to delete, because it's part of his digital reputation. And companies, when they hire, they want to see what's going on. So we cannot afford to be ignorant. And you're like, I'm not sure what's going on, because smart companies will find stuff as far back as 2007 sometimes, because Facebook started around then, right? So make sure your profiles are set to private. It's nobody's business. If it's LinkedIn, it is by default public anyway. Make sure it's public. What's the point of being on LinkedIn if it's only you or your connections who can see it? Then just go and get a private, account like Facebook or WhatsApp. But the point is that audit of your digital footprint is your responsibility, because you can work on all this beautiful personal brand stuff, but there's some stuff floating around you which is less than savory. You're responsible for that. Remember, we said digital reputation. All right, cool. Then let's continue. At around, I would say maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to see if you guys want a drinks break, go and refill your water or whatever. I will definitely get some more water. How many people here work in sales or have worked in sales? Yes, let me see if I can see your hands. A lot of them, right? We essentially have the IDA funnel. Everyone here knows the IDA funnel: the awareness, the interest, the decision, and the action, right? First, people hear about you, that's on top. Then they might feel like, oh, one eyebrow goes up, and like, oh, yeah, okay, could be interesting. And then there's a decision, meaning, yeah, why don't you come over? Let's see if we can talk, and next round, and then there is an action taken, and there is a sale. It's not that different in our career, right? In our career change, job search, whatever we're doing right now, it starts with awareness. And our personal brand goes across this very funnel. There is an awareness. What are people saying about you when you're not in the room? They don't know you. And if you have the goods they want, they'll develop a little bit of interest. This could be, for example, somebody saw your profile on LinkedIn. And if a guy like Sigmund has optimized it properly, there'll be multiple people interested in your LinkedIn profile, right? At the end of the day, that is what your LinkedIn profile is about. It's not there to look pretty and cute and use all these beautiful titles, which nobody's looking for. It has to be searchable, all of that. Then there's interest, right? And then there's a decision. Why don't you come over? We would like to talk to you. Action. We would love to make you an offer. Beautiful words. I love those 5 words, right? All my clients, we love those words. So essentially, we're going through this journey. And in this journey, we are going through the KLT principle all the time. All the time. It doesn't matter if you are self-employed career coach or any executive coach, whether you are working in a company as an employee or you're a freelancer, it doesn't matter. I think it was, I'm not sure. I think it was Bob Berg who started, because he's been on my podcast. He's an amazing author. The know, like, and trust. People tend to want to know who they're going to be working with. They want to know that. And the world we live in today is an unfair world. Likability gets you further. When you're likable, when you enter a room and there is warmth, like a radiator, you bring that sunshine and you bring warmth in the way you talk to people. They like you more. It doesn't matter if John next door is actually more qualified. Sorry, John. But if you're going to be stony-faced and a little bit of a, personality of a doorknob, it's difficult for John to advance. Even if Sigmund, in this case, for example, is less qualified, less competent. In the likability, he ranks higher. Yes, I know it's not fair, but you know what else is not fair? Life. So, and then you hear this a lot, particularly in higher, what is the word? Higher ticket. If you're selling your services for a job, you're a high ticket sale. People are going to be spending upwards of 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 to hire you, right? Depending where you are in your income. That's a lot of money for a company. And that's excluding bonus, benefits, social security, all of that. When you add all of that together, you're pretty worth it. Sounding like L'Oreal commercial with my hair flick. I know you're worth it, but you're not cheap, right? And the KLT factor is important. The know, like, trust principle is important. And I'm just going to pause here for a sec. How many of you get this in your Email, I still get it, even though I get it less because of GDPR. But on LinkedIn, how many of you get spammy? Dory, we have a product that we know you love. When can you give me 15 minutes? Here's my Calendly link. How many
Oh,
times
yes.
a day? How
I
many
get
times
that.
a day? How many times a day we get that? They know nothing about you.
One or
What
two.
have they done? What have they done? I'll tell you what they've done. I'll tell you what those lazy schmucks have done. Okay. They have skipped the no and the like. They skipped the K and L. They went straight to T. You cannot, don't worry. I have done this, by the way. When I started my LinkedIn journey, I was working with a coach. Remember I said good coach, good cop, bad cop. This is what she was telling me to do. And there was an assistant somewhere in India who was sending out these outreach messages. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed. I didn't realize this was happening. It's a message that's this long and has nothing to do with the prospect, everything to do with you and your features. And then there is a link at the bottom, right? And by the way, this is not sleazy stuff that salespeople do because they're taught. There are some big time LinkedIn influencer, LinkedIn top voices who also do this. I connected with someone recently and I was like, oh, interesting. I don't know why they reached out to me. Within 5 minutes, there was a message that was the size of my arm and they was telling me about their new book. Dude. Okay, I don't know, Abhijit. I don't know. Are you from India? Is that your nationality? Yeah. Dude, Abhijit, my Indian accent comes out when I get pissed. I'm like, dude, I don't know you from Adam. Why are you telling me this? Oh my God, they're embarrassing themselves, right? What do you think is happening to their personal brand? It's going down the toilet. So you got to focus on the K and the L. And then the T comes. The T comes more naturally, for sure. But you can't skip. No shortcuts here. If you want shortcuts, I'm so sorry. You've come to the wrong place. A strong personal brand is whatever you want it to be. And whatever you want it to be, it will accelerate that. I'll give you an example. A strong personal brand is what matters to you guys? Let's see. Tell me something right now that matters to you. One word.
Helping others.
Innovation.
Authenticity.
Helping others, innovation, authenticity. Okay, let me stay. A strong personal brand is an authenticity accelerator. A strong personal brand is an innovation accelerator. A strong personal brand is a collaboration accelerator. That's what matters to you right now, Dimitra. Give me another one. You don't, I mean, these are very beautiful, nice answers. You can also just say other things that you think, I'm not sure what people will think. Don't worry. I'm here. I'm not letting anybody judge you right now. What else? Keep it simple, basic.
It's also a friendship accelerator.
Yes.
Friendship, relationship, network accelerator. Beautiful. I love that. Network accelerator. What else, Vanessa?
Oh, well, I love teamwork, so I have my word cloud. It's a teamwork accelerator.
Strong personal brand is a teamwork accelerator. Beautiful. A strong personal brand. Anyone else?
Career.
Thank you. Thank you.
The career
It is a career accelerator. A strong personal brand is another one, particularly if you're working with people for the first time and they don't know you. It was in the previous slide. It starts with T. Trust accelerator. It's just the way it is. Even if they don't know you, they think they know you because they like you. So it really is, without complicating it, a strong personal brand, whatever you want, it accelerates that. And it accelerates over time and exponentially. So the best investment is an investment in yourself and how you are perceived by others. Is there a cost of not having a personal brand? I think so. There is some FOMO here. There is some fear of missing out. What happens is if you are working in a company or you are self-employed, right? At the end of the day, we want to replace ourselves. We want to have more scale. So if I every time only have a service where I am needed, I don't have scale, right? But if I want to take myself out of the equation and have products where I can scale, it is easier when I am already known for the thing and then I can duplicate. If you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? That makes sense. There's more scale when you are somebody who's known for something and you are liked and you have a reputation that you do something differently. The other thing we talked about network. Back in the day, right? Before LinkedIn is going to be 20 years old in May. Before LinkedIn, we wanted to get to know someone from Japan. Greg, we had to fly to Japan. Or we would write them these long pen pal letters. You remember those? But you'd wait a long time for that. But if you wanted to develop a proper, deeper network, you had to go and fly. Now you can do that with LinkedIn. You can do that with most social media networks, but I think LinkedIn is the strongest. And you can do that without leaving your home. When you have a stronger personal brand, you have a larger network. When you have a stronger personal brand, and when you don't have a strong personal brand, this is very, very important. The perception is you know what you're talking about. You're a smart guy. This woman knows her stuff. Why? Because that's how she is perceived. Remember, we said she is to some extent influencing the narrative. But she's also found out like what she's known for. And she's had like intentional relationships with certain people. Great. Now, you have a person like that. Let's call her Vanessa. What a random name. And then you have another person, John Smith. Both of them, same job. The perception, if Vanessa has played her cards right, is Vanessa has a better idea of what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about. And the chances are, not only will probably Vanessa get the job, but she's worth more. There's something about her. There's something about Mary. Remember that movie? Who remembers that movie? So it's like, yeah, she's very clever. And she did this well, and she did this well. You know, one of the things in your cap, remember the cap? One of the things could be humor as well, right? So it's like this person just brings levity, just brings fun. And who doesn't like humor, particularly in the world we live in today, where we need every now and then, we want to work with people who don't take life too seriously, because life is serious enough as it is, right? So when you bring all of that in, the perception is Vanessa's smarter. And in order to keep her, in order to get her to accept our offer, we're going to have to pay her more. And the same with Greg, I'm sure you've seen this with coaching. So many coaches, what makes you different? Because you've worked on your personal brand, you come across as maybe somebody who's better, who's different. And sometimes different isn't complicated. Different is better than better. That dude went to Harvard Business School. He's amazing. Yeah, but I did this. And I did this thing in Japan. And then I did XYZ things. And you're not showing off, you're just listing the facts. You got receipts. You're not you're not, faffing out of your numbers out of your butt. No, there's truth in there. There's proof in there. But because you've worked on it, you've thought about it intentionally over some years, the perception is you are worth more. And if they want to work with you, it's premium, and they're going to get what they pay for. That is the difference between having and not having. By the way, we all have a personal brand, whether we know it or not. We just have it. It's like you're breathing oxygen. It's like emotional intelligence. It's just a question of, are you aware of it and to what extent?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sorry, somebody was going to say something and then I interrupted.
Greg has a question.
Well, I just wanted to add a comment that a strong personal brand differentiates you. And when people don't have a personal brand or a strong personal brand, it basically commoditizes you. It makes you a widget. And being a commodity, being a widget, forces down your value, forces down how much salary you can get. And there are people that try to brand themselves, and there's a LinkedIn guru that I follow and get a lot of information from, and he calls it personal blanding.
Yeah, are you talking about Kevin D. Turner?
Yes.
Yes. Kevin was on my LinkedIn Live a couple of hours ago, and we talked about personal branding today.
And it's so true. Most people excel at personally branding themselves.
Oh yeah. And it's not that they want to do it. It's very, very subconscious, right?
Yeah.
And the opposite of a commodity is a luxury. It's the exact opposite. So where are you falling in the arc? Because when you see yourself as really, really good at what you do and what you bring to the table, and Dory, we talked about value. When you know that, and you know what you're bringing for the other side, it is a lot easier for you to command a higher salary with a straight face and silence without getting defensive and over explaining.
Silence.
That's a topic for another day, salary negotiation, because silence is your best friend. But yeah, for sure. And what else? Let's talk about what else is the cost of not having a personal brand. The trust. We talked about trust also. They don't know you too early. And then you get these spammy things. And this is my favorite one, proactive business or job opportunities. Hello, Greg Johnson. I've been following you for a little while. My company's looking for, could we have a chat for 15 minutes? Like, I don't know this person, but when you see their profile, you can also see they've been following you since 2012. Like, what? When did this happen? Ultimately, what we want is proactive opportunities. We don't always want to chase. Chasing is exhausting, guys. Yes, once in a while, of course, we have to keep up, but not all the time. We want to be magnets. We want to attract the right opportunities and we want to repel the right ones. When they come proactively in our inbox, we love it. Just remember what that means is your personal brand is working for you when you sleep. It's working for you around the clock. Your reputation. Okay. How do we get started? Very simple. Love Venn diagrams. I have a newsletter that goes out every Saturday. So tomorrow it's going out. Tomorrow's newsletter, I'm going to be talking about a guy called John Venn. He's the guy who started Venn diagrams. Love him. I love Venn diagrams. The reason I'm going to be talking about him in my newsletter is because his birthday is coming up. What you care about and what you're good at. So if anyone's wondering, how do I get started? Like, I heard all you. This sounds great, Sonal. Yeah, I'm in. But how do I get started? I don't know what to do. Start with these two and the sweet spot strategy. What do you care about and what you're good at? You got to know these two. If you don't know these two, time to pack your bags, go out on a hill and meditate. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. You got to know that. You got to know that. And if you don't, a great time to hire an executive coach like Greg. Someone who helps you to peel the layers with truth and honesty. And that person will show you the mirror. Let's say you get there, right? You do have an idea what you care about. You do have an idea what you're good at. You're going to have this thing in the middle. Nice. Great place to get started. Then what? Okay. Then you have in the world outside, you know what a company wants. You can see it on LinkedIn. You can see it on Indeed. You can see it on ZipRecruiter. You see the job descriptions, right? If you know a headhunter, they'll send you a job description. You know what they want. You know what you do well. That's okay. You know that. No big deal. You also know certain competing candidates who do well also. So just watch out what the company wants and what you do well. In the perfect world, this would be lovely. The world is not perfect. We have others who want the same thing, right? You don't care about this zone. This is where competing candidates are doing well and what they want. You don't want to be here. No, this is what I call the zone of failure. The zone of equality is what you do well and what competing candidates do well. Who cares? Who cares? Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to be in this place where what they want is what you got, what you're good at, and you like it, but others don't have it. That is a great place to start, but you don't start there, you get there. What you're good at, what you care about. And then, what do you think your people could be a certain type of organization. Your people could be a certain type of client profile, right? And it could be you're working in a company, but you think of your company as a client. I like that thinking, by the way, because you're thinking like a consultant. What do they care about? What do they need? I'm sorry, what do you think they need? And what do you care about? What are you good at? That is a great place to start because then you stand for something. You're not someone for everyone. Remember we said you're not Nutella, you're not pizza, because everyone likes Nutella and pizza, but you're not for everyone, you're for a specific person. And this beautiful thing that John Venn has in the middle is the overlap, right? This would be a great place to start. Now, before I get into the tips, I'm going to go through them quickly. I'm looking at the time. 1 second. Oh boy, time flies.
Have you ever heard of the term ikigai?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's very similar to what you were just presenting.
Yeah, I know. Just watch out because I'm in touch also with a couple of people who talk about ikigai, but in the original sense, Greg, because you've been in Japan, not the ikigai that was made by 10 years ago by a Spanish coach, and he had the Venn diagram, but that is not the original version of ikigai, right?
Right.
It's the reason for being. You're talking about the original one.
Yeah.
Just to be, right?
That
Good.
for which you wake up in the morning.
Exactly. That is the original ikigai. Good. Does anybody need a break? Fill up their tank, empty their tank, whatever that looks like. Should we be back in 2 minutes? Are you enjoying this? Anything?
Yes.
I'm muted. Keep
Anything
going.
else you
We're
want?
doing good.
Good. Let me know if you have comments, questions, anything you want to share, and we're gonna get into it. I'm just gonna get a little bit more water, and I shall be right back.
Okay. So what do you guys think? Good?
Good.
Good ideas.
I think
Different
personal
perspectives.
branding is an important thing. One of the things, the ones that I remember are ones that also fit their position. Bailey Lee's Energizer Bunny of marketing fits because I need a marketing person to be energetic. Whereas another position, I'm an energetic CFO scares me a little bit. You know what I mean? So it fits that. Sue Thornton's calm out of chaos for a COO again fits what the needs are. So that's one thing. That's where their brand has staying power because it fits the model, fits the needs.
That makes sense.
So
It's
those are
memorable.
two that I remember. I don't know if there's anybody else remember somebody's a brand that has stuck with you. Those are two that I remember over time.
That makes sense.
There you go.
Cool. Let's continue.
Stefan's. I like your new one with the positivity, leading teams with positivity.
Yeah, positive leadership is something very important to me, and I had the chance to meet with coaches dealing with positive leadership, and that's what I like in my experience. It's the impact that I make on others. And I come back from 3 weeks in Vietnam, and the best souvenir is before I left, somebody from the family of my wife told me, "You always smile. I hope you will come back." And that's true. That's what it is.
That's amazing. Stéphane, you're French?
Yes.
From where?
Normandy.
Normandie. Lovely. I was in Mont Saint-Michel some years ago. All I remember was rain. But the DJ beaches, the Omaha beaches, gorgeous. But
I've been there in January, beginning of January, I was there.
Yeah.
Normandy is green. And in California, it's becoming green, actually.
We are green now.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's something to remember that people remember happy people. So if you're smiling a lot, it's a part of your brand.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So now that we've talked about what is a brand, what is not a brand, what is the cost of not having one, right? We've covered a bit of this. Now what we're going to talk about is what are some things you can do, some tried and tested tips to make something work for yourself, right? So obviously these are tips, they work as much as you work. You put in the work, you'll see this. Then let's see. First of all, we're going to talk about the fact that we're talking about it in the digital world, right? Now, 20, 30 years ago, if you talked about your reputation, particularly outside, whether it was, a magazine or a newspaper, you had to hire someone, they had to write something about you, right? No longer the case. It has been democratized. The access is anyone with a smartphone. So there are some circles where your return on investment of your time, effort, and money, there's some circles, there's some spaces where your ROI is higher than others. You need to figure out what that is. And you need to be aware of shiny object syndrome. Because when we're starting out and we're thinking about how to develop our personal brand further, everything is interesting. And we are like squirrels and we want to go everywhere. But choose one or two and stay there. Otherwise, it's overwhelming and you get tired. I don't want you to get tired before you've even begun. No, not the idea. This is, I made this presentation back when I used to run a Clubhouse room every Monday. Gone. Clubhouse, I don't know if people are still using it, but there's so much out there, right? There's TikTok, there's Pinterest, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's so many others. But choose one or two and stay in your lane. For me, it was like, okay, I wanted to do everything, but there's only so much I can do. I'm alone, right? And it's exhausting making content all the time or do anything about, putting your name out there. So I chose LinkedIn and I chose YouTube, and I continue to stick to those. So just focus on one or two and beware of shiny object syndrome, because shiny object syndrome will come from your ego that wants you to be everywhere. Because if you're not, your friend is there, they're talking about it there. And if you're not there, you're missing out. No, you're not. No, you're not. Second, to keep in mind is, remember we said running experiments. Anyone who's a scientist here or worked in science, right? Statistician, academics, experiments is the name of the game, baby. The beauty of experiments is you don't get too attached to the outcome, because experiments, you keep changing, you change the statistical this and that and the deviation, and then look for different correlations and causations. See what works, see what sticks. Say, okay, my cap or my, focus on my personal brand is going to be A, B, and C. I want to be known for that. So I want to be known for that. Let me start using my voice a little bit. It's going to start resonating. And then maybe sometimes it's blank, like crickets, nothing is happening. Okay. So remember that Venn diagram? It could be the thing that you thought people want, actually they don't. Try something else. Because you know what you're good at and you know what you like. You know those two. Those are in your control. But the thing that those people need, my people need, check and reiterate, iterate, right? So that you get a different answer. Be prepared. Nothing is permanent. I'll give an example. So when I started in the coaching space some years ago, I thought, oh, okay, my coaching ideal client, because Greg, we all have that, right? You can't coach everyone. It's like certain type of person. For me, that person used to be MBA, 25 years experience, lived and worked abroad. Men. Because those are the kind of people that were coming to me. It's evolved. It's evolved over time. Getting younger, older and younger demographic. So yeah, it's broader, but there is a niche, but be prepared to experiment. Because if you don't see the kind of results you were hoping for, remember we said it's something that will help you to get to your career objectives faster. If it's not, time to change the experiment. Change it, tweak it a bit, no problem. Nobody will get attached when you hear the word in your head when you're thinking experiment. Experiments are not supposed to last. Okay.
I call it a working hypothesis.
Working hypothesis.
Yeah,
Same thing.
let's see if this works.
Tomato, 100% agree with you on that. Whatever you call it. Just the main thing is attachment. Watch out. This is interesting because this is an INSEAD professor called Neil Bearden, beautiful guy. Highly recommend you follow him. His URL is right here. He was a professor of decision sciences in INSEAD in Singapore. Left in 2021. Now lives in North Carolina. He left his position at the height of COVID, but he had just got tenure, and that is the thing for anyone who works in academics. He left all of that, and he's running his own company on storytelling, and he works with Marines and SEALs and all kinds of companies, helping them with pitches and storytelling. Amazing. He's experimented so much. I think he changes his LinkedIn headline, I think monthly. So he's also a statistician, an academician. So experiments come naturally to him. So he's a great example of that. We have to remove our ego, because our ego is not people vilify egos. Think ego is a bad thing. Ego is coming from millennia and millions of years of evolution. And it's that part of our brain that wants to keep us safe. However, safe from what? The ego doesn't know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and disagreement or a reaction on LinkedIn. It doesn't know the difference. So it's like, why do you want to do that, Sonal? Just stay in bed. There's no need to get out and take a run outside. It doesn't know. Just wants to keep you safe. So watch out that your lizard brain, is it protecting you because there's a car coming and you're on the road? Or is it protecting you from discomfort? Doesn't know the difference. And the sooner you realize that, the faster your career, no matter how successful you've already been, the faster your career will take off even further. I'm a big believer that the best is yet to come. Even if some of us think we've pretty successful, sure, but what a lovely thought that our best days are still ahead. What a lovely thought. What a positive, optimistic way of living. But no, Sonal, just keep doing what you're doing. It's kind of scary. Yeah, gotta tell the ego a little bit one by one day that this isn't about you, ego. But Sonal, I posted something on LinkedIn, I got 3 likes. And one of them was me and the second one was my wife. So I actually got 1 like. How embarrassing. Yeah. You know what? Nobody cares about you. Nobody wakes up thinking, oh my God, I'm going to see Stefan's post. Oh, I can't wait to embarrass him. You know why they don't think that? They're too busy dealing with their own drama every day. Nobody has the time to think about you. They are so busy. And if they see a post and they got 1 like, most of the time, if it's a connection of mine and I see that they got no reaction, I actually want to support them. Obviously, the content has to be good. But point is, whether they like or not, those vanity metrics, and for me initially it was YouTube, and I made so many mistakes with YouTube in the beginning. I stopped making videos because I wasn't getting subscribers, I wasn't getting traction. My ego said, this isn't working, go to LinkedIn. I wish I had stayed at YouTube. I knew my content was good, I knew it was making an impact, but it was 200 subscribers for so many years. Who cares? Oh, okay. But I wish somebody had told me, you got to keep going, because those vanity metrics that I think matter, ultimately, they do nothing to pay my bills. They do nothing for my car, my mortgage, my children's school, insurance, food on the table. They do nothing about that. So ultimately, none of this matters. And also the good old fashioned why. Why are you doing this? There has to be a deeper reason and has to go below the surface. Has to go below the surface. You're doing a personal brand. You're thinking about making a personal brand for a specific reason. You're not just doing it because you attended a presentation on 31st March and this lady seems to think like she's got her stuff together. She seems to know what she's talking about. You're not going to be doing it for that. You're going to be doing it because something inside you wants that. What is that? Could be for whatever reason, but you need to know what that is. Another great example is David Wee. I had him on the podcast. Lovely guy, worked at GE Capital, worked in Johnson & Johnson, and retired at the age of 60. He's a LinkedIn top voice right now. Very nice person, writes very well. But when he started out, he was hardly getting any views. Now after a couple of years, he wrote so many posts and they did so well. He made a book out of them. How lovely, right? He wrote a whole book, easiest book in the world, literally curated some of his top performing posts into a book. What a lovely personal brand. What a great reputation, and cashed in on it, right? Mistake number 4. Don't overthink it. You're not that special. You're not. Chances are everything you want to create, someone's already done it. Everything you need, you already have. So keeping things simple is a pretty good way to start. You got your brain, you got a brain that works, you got ideas, you got a laptop, you got a phone, you're all set. You got everything you need. And some people are like, yeah, you know what? I don't need a personal brand, so I'm going to start doing this on LinkedIn. I'm going to create a podcast. I'm going to get this YouTube organized. Okay, what are you waiting for? I ordered this camera on Amazon. There's a supply chain crisis and China doesn't have that particular part. So it's going to come in 3 months' time. Like, dude, we're not sure we're going to be alive in 3 months. Why are you waiting? Yeah, you chip into that. You go further. There's some fear going on. Yeah, but podcast, I wanted this microphone. You can start with your iPhone. Nothing's stopping you. Perfection is an excuse, right? It's hiding behind something. And hence, there is really no point overthinking. It will not get you anywhere. It's about keeping things simple, particularly in the beginning. A great example of this, another podcast guest of mine, she got laid off at the start of COVID. She was running the Dubai Opera House. You can imagine a beautiful opera house in the middle of Dubai, and COVID starts. What happens? They have to shut down, right? And she was running that. And before that, she was chief marketing officer of Amar. If any of you has been to the Middle East, you know Amar is the real estate agency that's the firm that's name is everywhere. I think outside of China, it's the highest, most profitable real estate firm in the world. She was running marketing for them. And then she moved to Dubai Opera House, and then she doesn't have a job anymore. What did she do? She was like, she spent a week or two thinking she wanted to do something. She started a company, which was in the remotes. Can you imagine? Height of the pandemic. It was all about remote work. How do you build culture and rituals and routines when you're doing remote work at the height of that? And she documented her journey on LinkedIn, hired her first employee, all of that stuff. She was sharing that on LinkedIn. Simple. I don't even think she was thinking about making a personal brand. She was just doing, she was just being, right? But that is the beauty. And you don't get in your head too much. Consistence and persistence. Very nice story here. I'm going to share the story behind this book called The Inner Game of Work. And I highly recommend the read if you haven't read it, or if you haven't heard of the author, Timothy Galloway, lovely guy. But I also want to share, I posted this on LinkedIn some time ago. You can't plant apple seeds, ignore them, and expect a tree, much less expect apples to miraculously appear. A lot of us think that, you know, something should happen overnight. Like, what's the point? So I wrote an article, nothing happened. And then I wrote another article and nothing happened. That's a lot of, you know, how many hours I spent writing that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I get that. When did you write that article? July 2019. Okay. And then the second one, I wrote it at Feb 2020. You told me you did something 2 times, right? It's like you planted those apple seeds. You didn't fertilize, you didn't give sunlight, you didn't give water, and you expecting results. It sounds ridiculous, but that is sometimes what we do. This is what we do. And time. Okay, quick story time. So I've put the picture of the inner game of work because it's a pretty painful memory. I had started doing these LinkedIn live streams in January 2020. By the way, I'm live every Friday. It's very early for California. It's 2 p.m. Central European time. So I think it's 5 a.m. in California. And I go live every week. I do Ask Me Anything. I help people, particularly those who don't have access to coaching or courses. And we answer each other. You know, I help in real time as much as I can. I also bring in guests. So Greg, today's guest was Kevin D. Turner. And I was doing this in the start. I was like maybe 3-4 weeks in. And I was also studying to be a coach. One of the exercises I was given was this book, The Inner Game of Work. And I had to make a report on it. And I thought, why don't I make a presentation and share it on my LinkedIn Live? Because I think it's a very interesting presentation. I think my people would love it. So I start sharing. And I made a presentation for LinkedIn Live. So I'm sharing my favorite views. I'm bringing my energy. I'm thinking I'm bringing my top game. One dude, probably imagine passing by, right, in a corridor, because it's a live stream, it's online, you don't see people. And he said, oh, hey, Sonal, I wanted to say hi. He's put this as a comment. So it's a public comment, everyone can see. I wanted to say hi. It seems that there's hardly anyone watching and you're hardly getting any comments. This looks a bit boring. So I thought I'll support you. Take care. Bye. Take care. This is live. This is live. And 2 minutes later, there was an inappropriate comment. Some guy made some stupid comment about my appearance. And what I didn't know is my dad was watching from New Delhi. And he saw that comment. I can imagine fire and smoke coming out of his ears. Anyway, I finished the presentation. I was just a bit like, you know, deflated. And my husband and I chatted about he also saw that and he was very uncomfortable. And I think he went and you can right click and you can report a comment because it's whatever, spam or unsavory or whatever. And my husband and I got into a pretty bad argument actually. And he said, I don't know why you're doing this. You don't make any money by going live on LinkedIn. the first day you did it, you had 100 people watching you live. This, you had 7. Why are you doing this? It's not worth it. This was March 2020. I started in Jan 2020. I didn't even think for once that I'm going to throw in the towel. Why? Why matters? I think you said, Dimitar, impact, making a difference. When it is that strong and you've had a shaky day, you are still standing. But when your personal brand, you're working on it, you've got the foundation is weak, you will say, yeah, you're right, let me do something different. Remember, we said experimentation, but be careful, experimentation doesn't mean you're fickle and you keep changing your mind. This is, I'm telling you on paper from experience, but your own real life, curveballs are going to happen all the time. So consistency and persistence are the name of the game. Because anyone can be great, but to be consistently great over time, that is excellence. And that particularly when things get hard and you want to give up, right?
Keep going.
Okay,
That's
let's keep
resiliency.
Yeah, but when it actually happens, you don't even think you're being resilient. You're just doing whatever you got to do. Okay. Then the sixth thing I want you to keep in mind. I know I said 5, but a couple of them as a bonus. The riches are in the niches. You say that in the US. In Europe, this makes me cringe. Stefan, you're watching this. It's a French word. It is niche. It is not niches. But okay, I can't say the riches are in the niches. I can't say that. But the more specific you are known for, the better it is. I'm not something for everyone. You're a database administrator specifically for certain thing that you do, right, Cyrus? And Sigmund, you write LinkedIn profiles. You don't write it for everyone. You write it for a certain type of person. Those are the type of people that resonate with your work. They like you. I'm sorry, Sid. So same. The more start out with that, you can always go broader. I'm a big fan of starting small, niche, narrow, specialized. You can always increase it over time. This is another example of a lovely lady. She's another LinkedIn top voice. Her name is Amy Volas. She works specifically, she's a recruiter, but she only works for SaaS companies and she only helps them find salespeople. That's her only thing. Super duper specialized. SaaS, early stage, scaling, scale ups, and does it across the nation, but only in that space. So I think that helps. Quick summary of what we talked about. This is a lot I've shared with you. It's worth reflecting on because it doesn't happen overnight. Beware of that shiny object syndrome that we looked at. Where do you want to be seen? And my perfect way of looking at that is, where are your people hanging out? Hang out there. If your people are hanging out on LinkedIn, that's where you should be. Then experiment. Run experiments. Give yourself a few weeks or a few months and then measure those results, right? You got to kick that ego gently out because the ego is not happy. You got to gently do it once in a while, kick it on the backside, because there is no space for ego when it comes to developing yourself and thinking about your personal brand. Because these are words that scare the ego. Like, no, I want you to stay under the covers and just watch your Netflix and eat your Nutella. It's so beautiful. Why do you want to go out there? Why do you want to use your voice? Ugh. Ego hates that stuff. But you've got a bigger mission than that. All this can get very overwhelming. So it's really important to focus small, start small, and think niche better. The more narrow, the better. And you got to show up, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for people around you. You got to show up even when you don't feel like it. I know it's not easy. I know I have so many examples of it. I haven't missed a single Friday through COVID, through a foot fractured, Christmas, New Year, Diwali, you name it. Point is, why are you doing it? That matters, right? However, before I go, some watch outs, some things to be careful of. When it comes to your career, your business, whatever it is you're doing right now, you cannot build. I know this is a strong statement, but Dory, remember we said we like magnetic. We want to be known for something. Feel free to have an opinion. You cannot build your personal brand without doing some networking. And you cannot do networking without building your personal brand. Some people will say do one or do the other. I am saying they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Because if you only build your personal brand, what's going to happen? You're going to get famous, you're going to get really well known, but you won't close any deals, whether that deal means hiring you, whether it means closing a sale, whatever it is. You're going to be what I call a poor famous person. And if you're only networking, a potential prospect would think, oh, who the hell are you? Why should I care about you?
True.
You need both. You need both, right? And you need the balance beautifully. So in conclusion, what I want to say is you are the chief marketing officer for the brand called you. But what others say about your brand is way more impactful than what you say about yourself. Because when you say it, it's telling. When they say it, it's showing. They are showing the receipts. And that's way more powerful. So after all this, if you are still not connected with me on LinkedIn, I'm going to be so insulted. I'm going to leave in a half and I'm never going to see you again. Please connect. I'd love to get to know more about you and tell me what you took away. If you need more information, my website is there, superchargeyourself.com, but connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a great place to start. Has this been helpful? Has it made you think? We talked about how this can help you to advance your career. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We're not here only for one learning here or there, but we have to connect the dots into our bigger picture. Has this delivered what I said it would deliver at the start, which is to help you to advance? Yes. Tell me what you're taking away. Tell me what you're taking away. Tell me what, let's cement some of those learnings together.
I like that you're focused on the brand. And yeah, you do want to have measurables, but you also want to be memorable. And that ties in with the whole, numbers tell and stories sell. But
Yes.
that way, your customer is going to hear your message either on the left side of your brain or the right side of your brain. And it's going to resonate some way with them and hopefully also in their heart, because that's where people go, I just can't live without Sonal. I have to buy her program. I have to, work with her because she's genuine and authentic and has an exceptional insight into how to become more successful and move forward. So I think that's fabulous. Thank you.
Fabulous. I love what you said about, I want to repeat that because I think it's worth it. Measurable, the first thing you said in the first sentence, can you repeat that?
Measurable and memorable.
Memorable. Beautiful. Love that. Beautiful. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. Sigmund, you were saying something.
I like the idea that your personal brand isn't just a description of who you are. It's a marketing tool. So in other words, the market has to be there. The starting small, I absolutely agree with, but it has to be focused on something, not just, I like pizza, whatever, but it has to really relate to something so that the rest of the people you're networking with can do something with it.
I agree. Very beautiful. Very good. I think that you can say you like pizza, provided you're thinking about starting a pizza franchise.
Right. As long as it relates to something, you're good, but yeah.
Yeah. Then you're thinking about where you're going. You're talking about the destination, the destiny, and you're selling the destiny, not your history. Because your resume.
That is so.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Your resume, a lot of people will say it's a historical bunch of facts. No. It should sell the destiny, not your history. These are not my words. And again, I learn a lot on my, I have such selfish reasons for starting my podcast because I learned so much from my guests. And I'm like, if I get downloads, listeners, they are here for the ride, cherry on the cake, but I'm so invested. And this was a lady called Amy Blashka, who's not far from you guys. I think she lives in Carlsbad or San Diego in California. And she said this, sell your destiny, not your history. Because you want to take them where you want to go. Right. And if you just say you like pizza, and some people are really fun. I mean, you must have noticed them. For example, on LinkedIn, they have such a fun vibe. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they stand for. They never say anything about that. So it could be one day they're talking about like supply chain management. The next day they're talking about their dog's death anniversary. I mean, sweet dog and what a sweet family. I don't know what they do though. So you want to be known for something, whatever that thing is. Don't be afraid to be known for that. Remember that
One of the
definition by
things that
Rory?
go ahead, Dory.
No, that definition by Rory
couple of-
Wade. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
A couple of takeaways that I picked up is, and I've been working on personal branding for other people. I'm really good at it, but I've been experimenting a lot with myself. So, but one of my takeaways was I started writing and thinking about the 25 people I can talk to. But as I was doing it, I keep hearing one feedback that I get, even when I meet people, right? One of the first things they say about me is either enthusiastic or high energy. And so I'm thinking about adding fuel to my little brand statement. Is I fuel PMO optimization and modernization.
I love that. Fuel, energy, fuel. You're solving the world fuel crisis. I have before we move on, because I know Greg had something to say, I have a quick little tip for you for something that's come up very recently. So yesterday, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the chief HR officer of Microsoft, Catherine Hogan, wrote an article, beautiful article. I think it's in Fast Company. And the article was about the energy crisis. And it's not what we think it is. This was something I'm going to put in my newsletter for tomorrow. And she's talking about the fact that there's an energy crisis in terms of, gosh, what was it? It was related to human energy, in the sense that there's a concern, there's a crisis right now. And what you just said, you're giving a different point of view. And you could have something to share. So whether it was you go to her post and you comment there and just leave it, no attachment whatsoever. By the way, some really smart comments, when they get a lot of engagement, they can also become a post in the future. But this will also help you to refine what you just said and help you make it into your cap from those 20, 25 people who have something to say about you. Because you're applying this in action. It's not walls, your values, your cap. Let's take them from the walls into the halls. Because a lot of companies will put it on the walls and then it's forgotten. No, let's talk about it in the corridors. Let's see it in action. And that is what makes you different. Enthusiasm, energy, choose one, I would say, because they're very similar, adjacent. Have two others and you're all set.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The other one is I actually just coach friends and some people that I meet in career coaching, and I was a volunteer career coach for 4 years. But one of the things I used to say is it really resonates with network, you network to brand, brand to network. And I used to tell people is, so go to your network with questions. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have perfection. If you're struggling in your brand between A or B, go to the network and play around with it. And that speaks to the experimentation as well. And I went to a networking event this week and did some of that experimenting as I talked to people and the what do you do and stuff. And it was a lot of fun and hearing feedback. And I picked up optimization from that meeting because they said that's the companies are looking for optimization in the PMO right now. And not so much transformation as a thing from last year.
That's
so
beautiful.
A couple things I took away. So thank you.
That's beautiful. I want to add, I'm being a bit greedy. I want to add something very quickly here. I think it'll help the others as well. When you go to a networking event and you don't want to go, does that ever happen? Come on, be honest. Right?
The first 10 minutes of every one.
So one tip here is related to the 2 C's. Typically when we go and let's say we are between jobs, I'm so tired of explaining that. I don't want to, get into that, right? So one thing is when you come from a place of curiosity versus when you come from a place of confirmation. So when you talk to someone, you're like, hey, how do you do? Sid, nice to meet you. So Sid says, I'm a CFO. Oh, my eyes roll. I'm like, oh, I have a certain impression of certain, finance people are like that. This is how human beings are, right? We make judgments all the time. We have biases. I'm coming from a place of confirmation that finance people are a certain way. I'm like, oh, okay. So where do you work, Sid? Oh, I work at the British Olympic Committee, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. If I hadn't asked that question, I wouldn't have known. Another example would be, oh, so Sigmund, what do you do? So I'm currently between jobs and like, okay, this is a networking event. Let me take my drink and just go to the next person. That is coming from a place of confirmation that you think people who are in transition are not interesting. Whereas if you come from a place of curiosity, so Sigmund, what do you do? I'm currently in transition. Oh, I see. So what were you doing before? I was a CEO at a communications company. What? Yeah. So I did that for about 20 years. It's been super interesting. Now I'm going to back my bags a bit and travel around Madagascar and help preserve the rhinos. What? What an interesting dude. If you hadn't come from a place of curiosity, you wouldn't have known. So coming from a place of curiosity versus coming from a place of confirmation, it's exactly what Dory said. I'm just kind of hopefully giving you some structure and some vocabulary, because we almost always come from confirmation that we know it all. And people who come from confirmation, Greg, I think you will confirm, are not very easy to coach, because I think they know everything. I know what you mean. I call them the yeah people. Yeah. Be careful that you don't become a yeah person.
One of the things that I think is critical in your job search and in your networking is that you are curious. Yes. Because when you are curious and you ask questions, you're going to meet some wonderful people. And you talked earlier about the dream job. And I am a firm believer that the dream job 100% exists. And the funny thing is, the more curious you are and the more interested you are in getting to know the people you're networking with, the more amazing dream job opportunities will come to you.
100%. Absolutely beautiful. Curiosity is a superpower.
Right.
And LinkedIn is not your obituary.
This reads like it.
It's not your obituary, and it's not your Wikipedia page either. It's much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not who you are, it's who you were, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I went to a product management event a while ago, and what we did is the first exercise is you have to pair with somebody and you have to ask them at least 10 questions. That was
you have to ask the
10 questions.
10 questions.
And the way it started is you have 10 questions you can ask, and then you have to ask another 9 follow-up questions. So you pick one of the 10 and then 10 follow-up questions. But the beauty of that was exactly that. You moved from that bias to the curiosity, and I met wonderful people. And then later I went to a networking event and I did exactly that. It was like, I'm going to ask, I didn't say 10 because that made me look nosy, but at least 3 follow-up questions.
5. Yeah, no, that's really good. I think that's
5.
such a fun exercise, because after this exercise, you know things about them that probably their husband or wife doesn't know, because it's fun. It's you have to talk about it on the spot. So no, beautiful. Abhijit, we haven't heard from you. What are you thinking? What are you taking away? Where are you? Is that a tennis court? Where are you? I'm joking. I know it's a background. So what are you taking away from today?
Namaste, Sonalji. So nice of you to come and share all this with us. I learned a great deal. I've been taking precocious notes, and I've also sent you a connect request on LinkedIn. I did have 2 questions for you. One is, I'm very curious.
Just pausing you, Vanessa. We look like we're going to go over. Is that okay?
It's up to everybody. I think we have flexibility. So yes.
Okay, good. Abhijit, sorry to interrupt you, Abhijit. Go on. Number 1.
We all can see that you have landed on a career that is your passion and your calling and your purpose. So would you have any advice on how we can discover what is our calling, purpose, and passion? And the other question I had was, if I have only 5 minutes to interact with someone, how do I move them from know, like, trust me to want a longer conversation? Thank you.
Okay. Wow, what amazing questions. Let's start with the second one first, because I think it's the quicker one. If you only have 5 minutes with someone, that means that either you're talking on Zoom and you've literally they said, we'll give you 5 minutes, or it's face-to-face and 5 minutes feels a lot, when you're talking, particularly when someone keeps giving these monosyllable answers and you're like, so how long have you been there? Like, okay, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is like a snail. It goes very slowly. I think when you have 5 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it is, make it about them. Just 100% make it about them. So what do you do? I work at Ernst & Young. Oh, that's interesting. I used to work at Pricewaterhouse. You don't have time if you have 5 minutes. So take that spotlight away from you and put it on the face of the person you're talking about. Oh, how long have you been doing that? That's amazing. Another question, answer. But it's not like question, answer, different question, answer, different question, answer. Listen to what they said. Listen to understand. Don't listen to ask. Don't listen to respond. Just ask them. This applies one of the ancient principles of Dale Carnegie from How to Win Friends and Influence People that says, ask questions that the other person would enjoy answering. And when the other person talks, 5 minutes fly. You know why? We love, as human beings, we love talking about ourselves. And the fact that you asked me, you want to know what I think? I'm flattered. Why? Because in this day and age, nobody wants to know what I think. But Abhijit asked me what I think. And I talked for 5 minutes straight, and he was genuinely interested. You know what I'm going to think? What am I going to think? What do you think I'm going to think?
That he's a great conversationalist.
He's a great guy. What a good listener.
Yes.
But, and then there's something called the law of reciprocity. We all have it. But Abhijit, I'm so sorry. We didn't talk about you at all. Can we schedule another time and we get more? Oh, that's what you want. You want to get them to round two. Second base sounds wrong. No, sorry, not second base. So you want to get them to talk some more. And that is the intention. So that is your second question. Is that kind of answering it? Yeah, make it about them. Spotlight on them. The first question, I don't want to say try because I don't like the word try. I'm a big Yoda Star Wars fan. He says you do or you do not, but there is no try. You do something, you do it with honesty and ethics and integrity. And if you don't like it, you do something else. And you just have to find that there are certain points that make you different. And the things that make you different, even if you thought they've held you back, and I'm not saying this because you're from India, so don't take this the wrong way. Let's say, because you're very clear, right? Let's say there's someone who's got a very thick, I'm talking Bihar, okay? Abhijit, thick from the motherland. He's laughing because there's certain parts of India where even we don't like, dude, what did the dude say? We don't get it because it's totally thick accent, right? And that person ends up doing well for themselves and they try to mask that accent and then they roll their R's and they're sounding American, but it sounds bizarre. So it's like, okay, I'm going to embrace the thing that makes me different. People said it's a flaw. I think I'm pretty awesome. Let me combine the two and make it flawsome. I know that sounds so cliche. But when we take the thing that makes us different and we combine it with honesty, this is how I am, this is how I'm showing up, this is where I was brought up. So I speak a certain way, I have a certain sense of humor. It's not for everyone. There's people who don't like it. They've never had me back. That's okay. But when you're just you, when the cameras are rolling and when they're not rolling, right? The best validation is when you talk to people. Because you see the reaction in real time. You see the body language, you see them squirm, you see them step back, you see them lean forward, you see their elbows on their table, and they want to talk to you more. Pay attention to when you're doing well. Because we tend to, as human beings, only focus when things go badly. And we want to learn from our mistakes. Please learn from successes. You've had a lot of past successes. You're here today. There's some things you've done you're very good at. What are those things that made you successful in the past? There's nothing wrong with repeating them. Why fix it if it's not broken? But you've grown since then. You're not who you were in 1999. You've changed. You've evolved. You're supposed to. So when you combine it with 2023 Abhijit, with all the things that make you cool and all of that makes you interesting, it's a lot of work. And that self-discovery is courageous work. Why? You're learning all parts of yourself. It's like you're a child again. And for most human beings, that is an ego trip they don't want to take. Because why? Why? Because it looks like I'm taking a step back. I want to step forward. What will people think of me? Right? Log kya kahenge in Hindi? What will people think? In every country, what will people think? So when you get into that discovery, whether it is by hiring someone who can work with you. And by the way, coaching doesn't have to be the big, expensive, giant, gargantuan investment. Work with someone who's training to be a coach. Chances are they need people like you because they need 100 hours or 200 hours of coaching to get a certification. see if you can just be their guinea pig. They're very smart. They're very insightful. Find people like that. And you'll get so much out of it. It's like people who are learning to be, hairdresser, and then they go to this haircutting saloon, and it's like, you go. Don't be too attached that it has to be the perfect cut, but you'll get a lot out of it. Because the reason I say work with someone, and I know this sounds like I'm self-serving, don't really care who you work with. That's not the point. The point is we cannot tickle ourselves. You try, you tickle. It doesn't work. Someone has to do it for you. So something like for work like this, which is related to purpose, meaning, and not only passion, please. There's more to passion. It has to be something that makes profits as well. The 3 Ps, right? Profit, passion, purpose. When you combine all of those 3 Ps together, you get there. It's very difficult to get there on your own because you can't tickle yourself. You don't know what those blind spots are. So hopefully that helps you a bit.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. We're still going to keep going, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for this, okay?
Sure.